Hey everybody, welcome back to Mary Bird's Backyard Garden. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mary.
And we're here in the garden with Mary again today. And we're back again.
Back.
We were back last week, but we're back
We're
again.
back, baby.
We're back in the groove.
Love the garden.
We do. So we're going to talk about a few things today. Got some new topics for you. But first, we have to ask, Mary, what's new in the garden?
Oh, man. We went out in the front yard and found a banana spider.
We did find a banana spider, a huge banana spider.
Huge and beautiful.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
And I wouldn't want him next to me, but I'm awfully glad he's in the garden.
He's made a cool little web, kind of across two of the pillars in front of the, like where my little office is in the front of the house.
I know. The best part is you could watch every day right out the window.
You can, and
see
so
what he's doing.
they're actually, so just so you know, they're actually called the golden silk spider.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know if you knew that.
No.
They are. They're fairly common in Texas.
Interesting.
We lived in Florida one time, and I grew up in Florida, and we used to have the really they were kind of gross, but they were really big ones down there. They're kind of the same, but not quite the same as down there. So they're about about an inch or so. Their body is. I think the one we have is a female because it's tan or it says the females are tan or orange with yellow spots, and they're 2 to 3 inches long. And
I was going to say, I think her body is longer.
Yeah. I think that's true. So they're not, they're not poisonous. I mean, obviously don't want to get bit by it, but
right.
They're not.
I don't want it by me.
No, they're
but
not.
I'm happy to look out the window and see it.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. They feed on exactly what's out there, right? Bees, flies. I think they'll even get a butterfly if one went in there. So all the little things, mosquitoes and small moths and things like that.
So they're a beneficial insect.
They are a beneficial insect.
Okay.
I mean, I know we had somebody that had come to the house and he had immediately said, "Oh, do you need a pest control?" I said, "No, he's good, man. Just let him be. He's not hurting anybody." They're not in the house. As long as they're not in the house, they're fine, and they're it's kind of fun to watch every day. The web is really cool. They make a really cool web, like right where in the middle of it, it's kind of a crisscross, kind of heavier white web, but it's pretty cool. So that is our new friend in the front yard. We have
our friend.
Yeah. We have the banana, aka golden silk spider.
So he is actually.
We're gonna say she. It's a she.
Pardon me. She is actually not far out of the foliage.
No.
And we have Burford hollies that are growing quite thickly this year. And I believe that is part of what's encouraging her, because our front little garden is covered with pollinators, butterflies, bees. Yep. It's just wonderful to walk out there. And I think it's a really good habitat for her.
It is. And it's surprising. We've been here for, almost 6 years in this house and never have seen that before.
No.
So it's kind of a new. But one interesting fact is those spiders make one of the strongest of any. Their web and their design is among the strongest of any species of spiders. Didn't know that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because I think while we were gone, they had some storms come through, and her web
That's true.
really held on.
That's true.
That's pretty interesting.
It is.
Okay.
So there you go. A little info on the banana spider, golden silk spider.
Factoid.
Yeah, there you go.
I love it.
Yeah, pretty cool. He's fun. She's fun to watch.
She is.
Yeah. Okay. What else you got?
Well, I've had several people that have come and talked to me about starting a garden. And August is really a really good month to start thinking about what you might like to do in the garden and planning. Because here in Texas, we're coming into our fall shoulder season that is a wonderful growing season for all kinds of plants, annuals, It's wonderful to plant your trees and shrubs and perennials during this time. And also for veggies, there's a heap of veggies that grow very well in the fall. And so the subject is pretty big. There's a lot of small details that you could talk about for someone trying to think about starting their garden. And so I thought maybe we would do a series and break it down a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, and so today's topic is going to be, where are you going to place your garden? What do you need to think about before you put the shovel in the ground?
Right.
And so that's where I was going today. And I know that when we first got started, we looked outside of ourselves for some help.
We did.
Really, you were the main energizer in getting this done. So I was going to ask you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely we can talk. So just kind of set the scene. When we purchased our house, it was a new house, so there was nothing. Our landscaping was zero. I mean, our backyard was kind of, it was sod at the time, and then it turned into a little bit of grass. But that was it. I think the one tree that we had, there was a storm, blew it down before, like right after we moved in. So that was it. So one of the things I know Mary definitely wanted to have a garden back there. So we thought we might reach out and look for a landscape architect to help us kind of design it. And we were looking for things that might be native to Texas that we could put in and things. And, I went out, I like going out and researching stuff. And I went out there and researched local architects and who could help us. And, I looked at the reviews and wanted to make sure we got somebody that had done quite a bit of work in the area. And the lady we'd hired obviously did. She was very popular. And then, also meet with them. We met with her.
We did.
And kind of talked about what our vision was and about, whether or not it was a good match for what she could help us with. And it turned out it was. We did end up hiring her. And I'll let you kind of make the next step. But when you hire them, I will just kind of give you a heads up a little bit if you're out there looking to hire, at least around here. They definitely will help you design it and kind of talk about what kind of plants you want. And, it's a lot of back and forth, which was nice, a lot of meetings. And then she came back with a design. And then especially here, one of their things is they kind of almost expect you then to the next step is to hire a landscaper to come in and do the work, which I'll just say up front, we did not do. But I think it was very beneficial to have that plan.
It was very beneficial.
Yeah, because it kind of helped us. She captured what you were looking for and kind of captured how we wanted it designed. And we kind of then took over from there. So I'll leave it with that. I'll tell you that, I'll kick it back over to you. We left it at that point, and then I know that you still pull that out.
I do. I really use that.
So it was very, very helpful. And it was definitely worth the money.
Right.
But I'm just going to be upfront with you. It was definitely not worth the money to have somebody else come and put it in. And it's not something we wanted to do because we wanted to do it ourselves.
Well, some of the things that are very beneficial in the plan that we worked with her on, she actually talked to us about how the water moved across our property. And before she got there and walked around the property and pointed things out, I didn't have the eye to know that that's what was happening. And also, she was able to put in drainage suggestions. She had a French drain running alongside of one of our fences so that our yard would not flood any of our neighbors' yards, and we would follow the contours that our neighborhood had already established for the stormwater to run off. And so that was very important to get to know about her plan. She had plans for lighting. We haven't enacted those plans, but I think they're still on the back burner.
Yeah, we kind of did. Well, and to your point, we asked her to do like don't
We
hold
did.
back. Yeah,
Don't
just
hold
just
back.
put, here it's when at some point this would be the ultimate.
Yes.
And it had the lighting, it had the drainage, it had literally everything. So it was nice to have all that. So then we can always pull that out and go, oh yeah, if we want to do it, this was because
Right.
we followed the contour of her
We
plan.
did.
And we built it out ourselves.
We measured it from the fence line, and we used a lot of her plant suggestions and placement of those plants. And so when she first met with us, of course, she was saying, well, your current plants may not transplant very well, but you could try it. So she was trying to save us some money along the way and give us some guidance that way.
Yep.
But you and I didn't follow the normal route.
We did
we
not.
joined the DIY club.
we decided to
We
to
did.
DIY it. And it's because we wanted to do.
Really happy.
We wanted to kind of do it ourselves. And I'm not gonna lie, there was some heavy lifting. We brought in a lot of soil and dirt.
Oh my!
We brought in our border is the those the heavy
They're
rock
limestone
border.
I can't think.
Yeah.
Quite. They're like building blocks, sort of like blocks.
Yeah, they're like what the one thing we have 5 adult children, so we call on them to help us with some of the heavy work.
Recently, we were going to ask the boys to house sit while we went on vacation, and we were all sitting around our kitchen countertop, and we said, "Boys, we have a favor to ask you." And they looked at us and said, "We're not lifting anything heavy ever again.
We can't
we can't do that anymore."
But it worked for us. So we did put it in, and I will say, if that's something you guys out there are looking at, it's definitely worth it from the standpoint of they see things that we wouldn't think of.
Correct.
And so from a design standpoint, they'll work very closely with you. It took probably a month or so to get the whole thing designed. And now we have a giant printout of the design. But it helped us, and I think it helped Mary when we were doing it ourselves on like where to put things and kind of how to design it, how to set it up. And so it's been I think it's been, well worth it.
A good template. That's right. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a thread of what I wanted to say, and it's kind of evaporated right now.
Bring it back. Bring it back. But no, I think to your point, I think we decided to do the hard work ourselves rather than hiring somebody else to do it.
Right.
So, and I think it's worked out well. And I'm just going to say this, and this is not a hit on hey, if certainly if you have the resources and that's something you want to do, it's great. We're kind of like doing DIY, but I will. I'm not gonna lie. The cost for someone else to come and do it was was shocking to say the least. But it would have taken the fun out of it because then it's we're in a little bit unique, right? We're retired, so we're not working, and we definitely have the time.
Yeah. And our neighbors do ask us, how do you keep up with everything?
Yeah.
And we are retired.
And we're here, right.
And that's part, we don't belong to a gym. So it's kind of fun.
It's good to get out there. I mean, and we've enjoyed it. And I know it's definitely something that Mary wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
So there.
You got it. That's true.
There, yeah. Talk about let's starting.
Let's say that you're a new homeowner that's, this is your starter home or whatever, or, you've moved somewhere, you have a bit of land, and you're looking to put in a garden. And this could be true for veggies. It could be true for annuals. And with a little bit of planning, it could be true for perennials as well. And so I wanted to break it down today in the fact of planning the garden, because it may not be the most challenging physically part of the whole situation, and you may not feel like you're moving forward, but if you'll spend some time planning like the architect did for us, you will save yourself from having to redo it several times, which Jeff and I have actually done. Some of the things that we DIY'd didn't fall within this planning parameter, and so we have had to move raised beds, and that's kind of no fun, I'll tell you.
Yeah, we've definitely done that.
We have done that. So, my first suggestion for somebody new in a new place, even you're an experienced gardener, but you're in a new space, is to take time to walk around your property. Take time to evaluate where the sun is falling. And I remember now what I wanted to say about the architect was when she drew up her plans, she was able to position our home where we knew where the north corner was and the south corner was. It's very important for you to kind of diagram on paper where your home site is situated and where your garden will be situated. And so once you kind of have that in mind, you could draw out where you think your garden should go. And so we tend to think that we're going to plant where the sun rises and where the sun sets. But in actuality, you don't want to do that. You kind of want to plan your garden sort of north to south. Because as the sun goes overhead, whether it's any type of plant, they're going to try to lean into the sun. And so some of our neighbors have planted alongside what would be their south-facing fence, and their plants will grow into our yard looking for the sun, which is no problem. That's fine with me. I enjoy seeing what it is coming over the fence. But if you want to be able to harvest berries, or you want to be able to harvest off of your citrus trees, or I don't know, whatever it is you're going to be planting, mostly your taller plants should go towards the north. And then you gradually bring the level of your plants down as you move towards the south. And the reason you want to plan your garden to do that is for the shade. The shade is going to be inhibiting growth on some of your plants. And also, when you do a north to south planting schedule, then your plant gets the full morning and the full evening. You really have to read about what it is you want to grow, because remember that not all plants want that full spectrum of sunlight. And they don't do very well if they are under the baking sun like we have here in Texas. But so think about that ahead of time and kind of think about how you're going to position your rows to go and draw it out on paper. I love graph paper. I can't tell you how many plans that I have drawn up. And, I have one for this border or one for that border, one for the kitchen garden. And it's really fun, to try to get in there and figure out. It's kind of a puzzle, I would say. It's very enjoyable to do. Let me see. The reason that you want to have the correct sunlight for your plant is because the sunlight is going to be the energy source for your plant to do photosynthesis, right? And they're going to gather the sunlight, gather the carbon dioxide and water, and turn it into those good exudates. So that's why we need to pay attention to the light source. Now, what else can I tell you? As we move along, yes?
No. I was
Keep
looking.
going.
I was telling you, go.
Go. Walk around your neighborhood or walk around an interesting plant area and take a lot of pictures and build yourself a board that identifies what it is that interests you.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my veggie garden, while I'm not on a true north to south axis, because we're a little bit cattywump the way our property sits, I'm mostly north to mostly south in my little garden beds. And that helps you plan out your veggies that you're going to plant and so forth like that. And then next time, I was going to talk about what kind of garden would fit with you. I was going to think about container gardening, in-ground gardening, or raised bed gardening.
Yep.
Because there's advantages and disadvantages to each one. And I hope that by the time next week rolls around, you'll be able to build out a garden plan that might sit very nicely on your property.
Absolutely.
And this week in the blog, I was going to try to take pictures of the process of drawing out the garden plan.
Okay.
And I love to do it.
I like it.
So it's another graph paper coming my way.
No, it's good. Like you said, I think it's good to really put some thought into it. You've done that. I mean, you've done that when but we've had some misses that you've gone back and just said, no, that's not good.
Well, as our borders have grown up now, I have a sage bush, a Texas sage that's grown quite large, and it is on the southern side of our border. It's shading out some of our sunnier plants that are more to the north, and so I need to make adjustments now. And as your landscape ages, you're going to have to always continually make some tweaks as you go along.
Well, and plus our neighbors, I mean, we're in a new area, so our neighbors' plants, they've gotten into it pretty heavy. But they're doing the same things. They've got some things that have grown pretty big, and they've caused some shade that maybe wasn't there when we first started doing ours. So,
and that's an opportunity for plants that we weren't able to grow before.
That's correct. Yeah, because that was our biggest thing, is too much sun.
Yeah,
on a lot of them. I mean, there's some that want it, but when we go looking, it's usually full sun, full sun, full sun. So, but now some of the trees and plants are getting bigger around us, so gives you a little more flexibility in what you get. So.
And that's what I want to say about people as they think about their plan. You really want to note down if you have building structures in your yard or mature trees in your yard. You want to show on your plan how the shade is going to fall across, because even if you have an open space, but you have a large live oak tree or sycamore tree, the shade may fall to the north into your open space. So you want to document that, and then you could plant accordingly.
Yeah. Well, very good.
Yes.
Look forward to the next installment. Yeah. Hey, I have something. I got something for you.
Okay.
I was playing around today and looking. Did you have? Now we all know that there's our annuals and perennials.
Correct.
And I'm we didn't talk about this, but I'm sure you already know this. Did you know there are plants that are called monocarpic plants?
Yes. We discussed a monocarpic bloom from a century plant, did we not?
Okay, we did talk. Well, the one that we
monocarpic.
Yeah, so they only they basically bloom one time, and it's pretty kind of crazy. But they can take forever to bloom. I mean, there could be something that's been growing for 30 years, and then boom, it blooms at one time. So I thought it was interesting, and so. I think, obviously, there's the century plant, which is the agave plant. And it doesn't mean that plant actually doesn't live 100 years. So it's a desert plant native to Mexico and Texas, hardy in these zones where we live. Its lifespan is really just 10 to 30 years. But during that time, it grows about 6 feet. And then it shoots one giant flower stalk up that can reach like 30 feet.
Oh my!
So it's not when people say century plant, it's not a 100-year plant, but it just has one bloom, blooms one time. And there's a few others out there too that do that. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I honestly didn't know they could do that.
It's very, very interesting.
The one thing which I didn't know is they put bamboo into this category. So
oh no, I did not know that.
It doesn't mean it's going to quit growing but it can. It's according to the article here, and I'm looking on one of the sites here, is that it can take more than 100 years for some bamboo species to flower. And even then, some of their times their roots push up new plants. But so they'll keep growing. But as far as actually flowering,
oh wow,
they'll only do it one time. Now they're obviously bamboo is a pretty invasive plant, but it'll keep growing and do what bamboo does. But as far as a flower, it'll do it one time.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that.
And interesting. So I brought a little interest
You
to you.
did. I love learning.
And I got to tell you this, because I never heard of this. A sempervivium. It's a genus of succulents commonly called hens and chicks.
Oh.
Or house leeks.
Oh.
They're hardy in our zone. They grow 6 inches tall, and they multiply by growing a growing brood of smaller rosettes, and then those in turn make their own. And the offshoots are called chicks. And you can remove them from the mother plant or hen and plant elsewhere. And that can spread into a mass planting. Takes 3 to 4 years for a mother to sprout an eye-catching, according to my article here, 8-inch tall stalk bearing a star-shaped flower at its tip, and then it dies.
Oh.
And then the chicks continue living. So interesting.
Oh, I think that would be beautiful in our front stone planter.
Isn't that interesting?
That would be lovely.
And I got these. So this is on the apnews.com. They have a section on plants and gardening. So that's where I got this. But it's pretty interesting.
I love it.
Yeah. I did call them the one-hit wonders.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that interesting?
Okay.
Yeah, but that was interesting. Just threw that in there at you.
It makes me want to go out and look for the hen and chicks.
Yeah.
And, try a century
now,
plant.
is that kind of like what you were doing with some of the little succulents that we had? You were taking some and replanting them?
I was taking, if I saw that they were, yes, I was trying to break off a little. I don't think it's the hen and chick, but I would try to break off the little rosette and replant in a portion of the container that had become bare. I think it's a sedum was actually the one I was trying to work with.
Yeah.
And I've done that with a jade plant. Actually, it was so interesting. I took a stalk that had broken on a jade plant. It didn't have any leaves, and I just stuck it in the ground, and it sprouted from the top, which that was very cool.
So isn't nature cool? We'll just say that.
I'm going to say that section should be called Isn't Nature Cool?
All right. But that was a little...
Thank you so much.
Yeah, little tidbit for you. What else you got?
I'll have to get out my planning sheet and find a place for the hen and chicks.
The hen and chicks, yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting that it's like, I honestly thought a century plant lived for 100 years, but clearly I was wrong. So, what else you got?
Well, maybe... I don't know.
No. Well, it doesn't. Yeah. Hey, if the internet says it doesn't, gosh darn it doesn't.
I have a book that I wanted to tell people about. I've had this book for quite a while, and I use it as a resource. It's very good. It's called Month by Month Gardening in Texas. I'm sure if you live in other regions of the country, you could probably find a book that's central to where you live, too. And it's what to do each month to have a beautiful garden all year. And it's by Robert Skip Richter. And he's been in the gardening community here in Central Texas for a long, long time. He may be in North Texas, I'm not sure. But I wanted to say that August is a time for us to step up our gardening game here in Central Texas. It's definitely not a time to start putting your gardening gloves away. So right now, we're entering into what we would call our second spring. And you could never tell it from the temperatures, right? But I can tell it from the plants as I go outside. You could just see a difference in the way they're growing. And at this time, I forgot to look up whether we've reached the summer solstice or not. But right around that time, your plants will begin to enter their fall growth. And here in Texas, it's sort of a second spring, where your mornings and your evenings will gradually, very, very gradually begin to cool down and give your plants some relief. And then your daytime temperatures, of course, are going to be hot for quite a while. But some really good annuals to think about planting right now are to refresh your marigolds, your pentas. I've never been able to grow a good pentas, but maybe I'll give it another try. Your zinnias and your cosmos, and it says your tropical sage. And it's a very good time to be planting your ornamental peppers. So in order to do that, to have them get off to a really good start with all this heat that we have right now, go in and water where you're going to be planting these plants few days before, maybe 1 to 2 days before. Let the water really soak into the ground to a depth of 3 to 4 inches. And so we talked about that before. And the way to do that is to have a slow, steady drip of water over a pretty long portion of time. And then, remove the weeds, kind of help your soil be a little bit ready to get some new plantings in there. And once you have the little transplants in the ground, this won't work very well for seeds, but cover with mulch to help maintain that nice moisture and keep an eye on them as they grow.
Nice.
For seeds, you're probably going to have to leave the soil open and then make sure you maintain a nice moisture level. And we're getting ready for petunias to really take off. As a matter of fact, this year I might plant some purple petunias because they have such a good fragrance to them. And I would encourage you to look at planting fall vegetables. September's probably better for broccoli and some of your cole crops like that. But you could try planting out peppers and eggplants. And if your okra, our okra is getting super duper tall.
Yeah.
So give it a chop. Give it maybe 1/3 of the plant back, and your okra will produce side branching, and you'll get some more pods all the way up till frost.
Wow. Okay.
And today I was very encouraged because the okra, I noticed that it was so nice and shady under there. I think I'm going to be putting lettuces in underneath the okra and see if the shade from the okra will.
It might. The okra are giant. Ooh, they're big.
Massive.
They've grown really well.
They have grown really well. Yes.
Kind of okra party.
Those worm castings are doing a good job, I think.
They are. You're doing good with the worm castings. Okay.
So next week, I look forward to talking about what kind of garden would work the best for you.
That sounds great. Right.
So if you had to choose between a raised bed or an in-ground bed, do you think that you would be able to make a choice between those two?
Well, I mean, are you considering ours a raised bed because we put down soil? Or are you saying ours in-ground?
That's an in-ground. Mm-hmm. That would still be in-ground.
I will say, if we lived, it's really hard to go in-ground here. We had to add a lot of soil to make it an in-ground. So that's why I asked the question.
Now I see.
It wasn't a natural in-ground. It was an in-ground because we added a lot of soil to it. I mean, I like in-ground personally, if you can do it. I think it's kind of neat where you can just kind of dig in the ground and do your stuff. I would probably choose that. Now, like I said, we did a hybrid of it where we had to add the ground to go into because we couldn't dig into our own ground really. But I like it that way. I mean, I kind of like it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know. Well, next week we'll be discussing the pros and cons of each container, raised bed or in ground. I'm
Very
kind of
good.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be fun. We can also talk maybe next week about a little bit on how we fenced because we have dogs.
Yes,
And
correct.
it might be, you know what, we could probably hit that if you're going to do that part. We can hit that too and kind of tell everybody what we did.
Absolutely.
Love the dogs, but man, they will kill your garden. So we put up something a little unique. We made our own kind of thing.
We did.
And we'll talk about that maybe next week too.
I love it.
All right, well, good.
Yay. I'm excited for next week then.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else?
I believe that's all I have.
All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate you guys joining us. We hope you're having fun on this journey with us, and I think we're pretty good about telling you what works and what doesn't work for us. And that was kind of the point. It's kind of a journey for us. It's not a journey that really ends. I don't think we ever get to an end point on it. So I know Mary loves getting out there, and that's kind of her thing, and it's kind of fun to do. It's great exercise. It's great to get outside. It kind of gets you out there, and it's also just beautiful to look at. So
There's
enjoying the
always
garden.
something new to discover.
Yeah, there's always kind of fun with it attracts the birds and all the things it attracts is really, really kind of fun to sit on the porch and watch.
Have you seen the red dragonfly?
I saw him one other time.
Nice.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's been 100 out there in the afternoon. So it's been a little hot to get out there and sit on the porch. And I haven't noticed him in the morning. But we'll keep an eye out for him.
We'll keep an eye out for him.
Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate everyone joining, and we hope you stick with us, and we'll see you next time.
Happy gardening.
Happy gardening, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.